Hi, good morning. My name is Alex Clay. I am the owner of TLM Corporation, and we supply gas detection systems. We will design, install, service, and maintain these systems for you. Gas detection systems and the reasoning why they are so important to you. Hundreds of years ago, miners used to use canaries to go down into the mines, and they used to use candles so that if the candle went out, there was lack of oxygen, and that then they had to go back up. And if a canary fell off its perch, it was either dying because of lack of oxygen or toxic fumes, and then they had to leave the mine. Things have moved on since a little bit since then, and we have electronic devices instead of candles and canaries. Gas detection systems are very important because they are there to for the safety of either humans and or buildings, because you can be hurt with a toxic gas. So if it's an ammonia or carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, or you can have an explosion if it's methane, or LPG, which is cooking gas. So gas detection systems are important because of these things, and they come in lots of different ways and forms. The types of gas detection systems gases that we will generally monitor would be in different forms. So, the way I look at it, you get the marine sector where you may need to detect gases from ballast tanks. H2S, hydrogen sulfide, would build up where you've got rotting vegetables or water that is stagnant and doesn't move. H2S will build up there. You may need to go into an area where it is an enclosed space, a confined space, and you may have lack of oxygen. So you need a portable to go into a confined space. But also, for example, on a boat, you may get carbon monoxide because you get engines that are running on either diesel or coal, and all of those could create gases like carbon monoxide. And so you would have gas detectors for that as well as combustible gas detectors. You then move into the domestic or residential space, and many people use gas at home, whether it is pipe gas coming from the municipality, which is flammable, or you have LPG gas, which is in a cylinder, and you could have that for your cooking or heating on a rollout heater, or for your geyser. And people have flammable gas detectors to detect those gases. You can have carbon monoxide detectors in a house for your geyser as well, because if your geyser is not being flued to the outside, then you've got carbon monoxide building up inside. And the problem about carbon monoxide is that it has no smell to it. It's known as the silent killer, whereby LPG's got a stenching element in it, which they add to it before putting it into a cylinder so you can smell it. But you don't know what is dangerous and what is not dangerous. Okay, so our nose, which will smell gas, will smell the gas, but we don't know if it's safe. Okay, so if it's just a small amount of gas that is not, which is non-explosive, or if it's got to a point where it could become explosive. And we don't know that because we can't tell the difference. The stench doesn't get any stronger. So a gas detector is calibrated to work out what is a level before it becomes explosive. So normally at about half the level of an explosive point, you will get a warning and you'll get told it is dangerous. And then that is so. We've covered marine, we've covered domestic. and then you go to commercial. Commercial is very similar. Restaurants all use gases, LPG or natural gas, because it's chefs prefer gas to cook on. They may also use carbon monoxide in car parks, because where your cars are placed, you need to detect your carbon monoxide. You can make your buildings greener, because your fans will only go on when it picks up a certain level. And in that case, your CO will give a signal out and say, you've hit a level, now switch the fans on. So you're making your building greener, you're saving money because you're saving electricity, and you're saving the life of your fans. And that's most of the commercial. And then you go to industry, where you can use all types of gases. Ammonia for cold storage to keep for fruit, and for meats, they have cold storage, and you have ammonia there. And then you have in car manufacturing, you have lots of different types of gases there, and that's industrial. And then you have petrochemical, where you've got storage tanks, and you need gas detectors in those areas as well. Gas detection systems come in many different forms and sizes. So you have mainly the two different types will be portable and fixed. With portable, that can be subdivided again. So you have the health and safety portables, which are not much bigger than your mobile phone or your cell phone. And you would then put those on your belt, on your hip, or on a pocket on your shirt, and those you walk around with. So they're very broad strokes. You'll get a flammable one, and it will detect anything flammable. Okay, so it can't be narrow gas detection. So it's not just going to detect LPG, or it's not just going to detect natural gas, which is your piped gas, or hydrogen. It will detect anything. So it will detect paint fumes, or if someone's had a heavy drinking night with whiskey, it will detect the whiskey coming off at your breath. It's all flammable. And so those are health and safety portables. You then get pipeline portables that you'll take along your pipeline, and they're normally that you hold them in your hand, and they've got a curly bit that can turn around, and you take them along a pipeline looking for leaks at joins and flanges. So that's a different type of, that's to look for leaks along a gas pipeline. And the last type of portable you get would be area monitors. So if you get a whole bunch of people working in an area where there's potential gas at a refinery, you can put a portable, an area monitor down on the ground, and that area monitor can detect up to maybe 6 different types of gases and has a light on it. And it could also, you can use it as a mesh. So for example, if you've got a big refinery and you've got lots of people working, you can have many of these area monitors dotted around, and they mesh together. So they will talk to each other saying, we've had a leak, send a signal here. We've had a leak, send a signal here. And then they can go back to control room and tell the people in the control room that there's been a leak in area 20 of the refinery. So those are your portables. So defined in 3 different areas. Then you get fixed. Fixed gas detectors will be put to the floor, put on a wall, put on a ceiling, and you generally cable them back to a device, a control panel. And that control panel would then activate siren strobes, SMS units to send you alarms, solenoid valves to shut the gas off, and they can activate all types of different things. In a refinery, they can set off the sprinklers to put out a fire. And so what happens is a fixed gas detector is for a certain area. It is on 24/7. So the benefits with a fixed gas detector, it never stops working. So it doesn't go on holiday. It doesn't go to sleep. The problems with a portable gas detector, it works on humans. So humans got to remember, I've got to take my portable with me to go onto site. I've got to remember to keep my portable charged. So when I'm on site, it's always alert and always working. So portables rely on humans, whereby a fixed gas detector is there working without humans constantly. Drawbacks with a fixed gas detector, normally they can only detect one gas at one time. Occasionally you might get a detector that could detect one or two, but it's unlikely, and it doesn't, I mean, they're not that frequent. So if you've got a room that has carbon monoxide in it, it's got hydrogen in it, it's got LPG in it, it's got O2, you may need 4 different gas detectors detect each one of them. Also because, for example, hydrogen gas is lighter than air, so you need to place the sensor high up, when LPG is heavier than air and you need to place it down by the ground. So you can't use one sensor for hydrogen and LPG, because you need to detect LPG low and hydrogen high. So you need 2 different sensors. And that's why sometimes you need more sensors than you would think. The hazards and the risks that could occur with gas and how to rectify them. So an example, your deodorant cans, which have got nice smelly rose petal lavender smells in them. Inside that can is propane, which is a flammable gas. So propane is similar to LPG, which you put a stenching element in it. So you can't put a stenching element into your aerosol can, because your stenching element smells like rotten eggs. No one's going to want to spray rotten eggs all over them. So what you have to do when they're making the deodorant cans, they have to have gas detectors there, because there's no stenching element. So there is a risk there, because you can't smell the flammable gas, and that's why you need to have gas detectors to detect it, and warn you that your level is getting higher. And, you have to have, because as your noses will detect a smeller gas, and and we don't know what is going to be dangerous, which is flammable, or what is toxic, because H2S or ammonia or SO2 are all toxic gases, and we don't know what is a safe or not safe area to go into. And that's why the gas detectors are required to go off at a certain level way before it is explosive. An example with LPG gas, which you use in your kitchen for cooking purposes, the lower explosion point where the gas could potentially ignite is around 1.8 to 2% mixture in air, which means that if you've got 1%, 1.8% to 2% in your room, okay, and 98% odd air, you could have an explosion. So a sensor, it will detect gas at 50% of, let's say, the 2. So at 1%, way before where it's going to ignite. So there's your 1%. It potentially could ignite at 2%. The gas is going to be warning and shutting it off long time before. Your nose will have no idea what those levels are. So that's what the gas detectors will be doing for you. They're giving you a warning that there's a level, and then generally it's shutting your gas off, making sure no more gas will enter your premises, making your environment unsafe for you. So that's how sensors will make your environment safer. And that's why they're so important, because we don't know. You may have a cold, and thus you can't smell the gas very well. Or children in your home may not know what a smell of gas is. Okay, they could go in, they could hit the light switch, which could create a spark, and that spark could create an explosion. Or they may go into your gas hob. They may be old enough to be able to press in, turn the ignition on, and that ignition could create an explosion. All of these sort of things are potential dangers for homes or wherever they are. Carbon monoxide is a silent killer, because you never know, you can't smell it, so you don't know it's there, and carbon monoxide will slowly disperse the oxygen around you, and you don't know it's going until you start to feel faint, and when you start feeling faint, it's too late. Then you will collapse. You won't, unless someone opens a window or door, that is fatal to you.